Well guys, in my last video, you asked me for this. So in this video, I'm gonna give it to you. Today we are gonna be reviewing two decks, the Antlers by Dan and Dave, and the Bicycle Styx by Eric Ross. These are two decks of cards that I got multiple requests on to review, so I figured let's review them both in the same video, compare the differences, see which ones I prefer, similar to what we did with the Knights video by Daniel Madison and Chris Ramsey. Anyways, I'm gonna crack these open. I'll show you guys a few tricks, maybe a few flourishes, things that you might be doing with these cards. I'll let you know what I prefer. Make sure you stick around till the end of the video. I have some updates on the giveaway that I announced in my last video. As per usual, thank you for tuning in today. I hope you enjoy this review.
Let's go.
All right, so first we are gonna be taking a look at the Antlers playing cards by Dan and Dave. This deck also does come in two additional colors. It comes in a moss green and a tobacco brown, as well as the maroon ones, which I'm holding right now. If you take a look at the tuck, you can just see it says Antler playing cards at the top. You have a Buck here. If you are familiar with Dan and Dave, their last name is Buck, and they're twins, so you can see Buck twins printed below. One side says Gentlemen playing cards. The other side says Dan and Dave approved. At the top, you can see that these were designed by Tom Lane. He's done work with Art of Play before. And the bottom has some ad copy for you. The back design of the tuck is the back design of the cards, only in color. Inside the tongue flap says made in the USA, and there is nothing inside the tuck. So these are the cards that you get. They are this kind of brownish maroon color. They look really nice. I would say they're a little bit more brown than red. But just that deep maroon. As you can see, you got your two Bucks to represent Dan and Dave as the Buck twins. Followed by some like oak leaves and a Buck twins banner at the top. Little interesting subtlety, you can see that some of the design breaks through the border of the cards, which I think is really cool. I prefer all my cards to have borders, but something like that, just that little subtlety, I don't mind at all. These cards are printed on bicycle stock. They're not very thin, but they are extremely snappy. Now, as far as the faces of the cards go, they're not gonna be quite industry standard. You can see that the coloration has changed as well. The images on the face of the cards have been blown up a little bit, which I think looks amazing. This looks really cool. But other than that, they are gonna be basically bicycle standard. Just a little bit bigger. Kind of have like that super old school USPCC face on them. You are going to get two jokers that at beginning will look identical, but one of them is green and the other one is maroon. I actually really like these jokers. They look good. All right, now the Ace of Spades is actually one of my favorite Ace of Spades designs on any deck of cards. This is, you can see a Buck with its antlers kind of forming that Ace of Spades, and then again with like these like oak leaves or whatever you want to call them, and then it says established 1984. Love that Ace of Spades, looks so good. You will notice though that the red pips have been replaced by this deep maroon color. At first glance, at least for me, it almost makes it difficult to tell the difference between the red and the black pips. But very recognizable. You could perform magic with this deck all day long. It's very unsuspecting. Nobody would be confused by these cards. Now as far as gaff cards go, you're gonna get a double backer, which, as you know, if you know me, I use those all the time. And you're gonna get a blank face card. There's any number of routines you can do with a blank card. Now, if you're familiar with Dan and Dave, they started out, I guess, as like magicians, but they very quickly kind of spearheaded the art of cardistry. So they were kind of the first ones to mainstream card flourishes and moves, things like the worm. Some of the entry-level cardistry moves that you've seen were created by Dan and Dave. So these are probably the most standard looking Dan and Dave cards that we've seen in a while. Typically, the Dan and Dave cards have like customized faces, definitely customized courts, like the red wheels, flourish deck. But these are standard, which as you know, I'm a huge fan of. All right, now availability. So these cards can be purchased at artofplay.com. You can buy them directly from Dan and Dave, which I would recommend. They are, I believe, $10, so they're a little bit cheaper than most Dan and Dave Art of Play cards. And as I mentioned, you can get them in a variety of different colors. I would like to maybe get my hands on some of the other colors eventually, but the maroon ones look great. They go with pretty much any magic routine that you could possibly think of. They look extremely, extremely standard. These look like something you would find in like a log cabin somewhere in the woods. Now the handling feels really good. These cards, they're a little bit thick, which I like, but they're light. They're very light in the hands. At first they were a little bit stiff, so they required a little bit of breaking in. Not a problem. Most cards do. You just give them some shuffles. Spring the cards, and you're pretty much good to go.
Let's go.
All right, so that was the Antlers by Dan and Dave. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the bicycle Styx. Styx, these were a Kickstarter, I believe. And they were designed by Eric Ross. They are very, very underestimated cards. I know the tuck is kind of hard to see because it's so dark. Maybe that helps. It's because I think the curb appeal is kind of why people don't own them. They look at first like a pretty edgy deck of cards, not really something that you would use for Magic. See the back design a little bit. Pretty standard tuck. There's no embossing. This is all just flat. Kind of glossy card stock. It says Bicycle Styx playing cards on one side. Actually on both sides. Let's just take a look at the cards. These are the Bicycle Styx. So again, kind of hard to see. That might be one of the problems with this deck, but you can see it's kind of these skeleton, exoskeleton moths connecting two rings and some kind of like scroll work outlining the edges. These cards, I think, look better in person. You'd have to see them in person to really know, but they have this very nice, when the light catches them the right way, they almost change color. Not in a holographic way, more just, I think it's just the ink, this kind of like brownish gray ink. Even like from far away, they might look even like just like black Nox or something, but they do have a really, really cool back design. I wish I could show it a little bit better. Maybe that's better. Definitely something you could perform with. It's not too edgy. It's not too edgy. So the faces, as far as orientation of the pips or pip placement, they are going to be completely industry standard. They're going to look just like regular bicycles. The reds have been darkened a little bit, so they're not that bright red color that you would ordinarily see. Royalty is completely standard, apart from, again, some color customization. You can see they kind of darken those reds into almost a burgundy color, and then they added some very deep green in there. You are going to get two duplicate Jokers. Definitely not a fan of the Jokers, but a lot of the routines I do don't really involve the Jokers, so don't really care. All right, that Ace of Spades is going to be kind of like a stemless spade pip. It almost looks like one of those dials that you would use like on a Ouija board, which I think may be what we were going for here on that. And then just a Styx above it in Old English. Bicycle Styx, made in USA. The inside of the spade pip also has some design. There you go. You can see it better like that. But from here, you can't really tell. Like that, you can. All right, now, obviously, these cards were designed with the Magician in mind because just like the Antlers playing cards, you do get two gaffs. You get a double backer and a blank card. These are actually, I think, the two most useful gaff cards. Maybe not the blank as much, but definitely double backers. If you're a magician, you know exactly how to use these, or you've come up with your own effects, and they are extremely, extremely useful. Now, handling-wise, I like the way these cards handle. They feel similar to any classic thin bicycle stock. However, they do seem to last a little bit longer. I believe they even have the air cushion finish on them, but they handle a little bit better than regular bicycles. You can see I've used these already. They're not brand new, and you can see they still maintain their fan well. Something that I really do enjoy about these cards is that they're pretty standard looking as far as the faces, but then as well, you do get kind of like that nice back design. Depending on maybe what kind of gig you're doing, these have a really, really nice kind of magical look to them. Availability for these, you can find these on Amazon. You can find them on... I bought these off of Sod at 52 cards. They were, I think, like $9, so a little bit on the spendy side for bicycles. But in general, really nice design. I think they're totally worth it if you're going to use them. They're well worth having for sure. And that is the bicycle Styx. All right, now the question is, which one do I prefer, or which one would I be more likely to use? I'm gonna go with the Antlers. I would use these more in performance, slightly more than the Styx anyway. I really like the feel of these cards. They're extremely, extremely soft once you break them in. These, as far as longevity goes, I've had a couple of decks of them in the past, so I know that they're gonna last me a while. I would say ultimately they're worth getting both. If you can get your hands on both, definitely do it. For 20 bucks, you can own both of these lovely decks of cards. But I would be a little bit more prone to use the Antlers by Dan and Dave. All right, guys. Well, that was my review of these two decks of playing cards. Highly recommend picking up both if you can. If you had to choose one, in my opinion, I'd go with the Antlers by Dan and Dave. If you leave a comment requesting for a deck to be reviewed, I will review it for you if I have it or if I can get it. Coming up on the docket, I did get a request to review the Animal Kingdom playing cards by Theory 11. Also, I was thinking about maybe doing a review for the Bicycle Inspire deck by Alex Pandrea. I had a few people asking me about that. And whatever else comes down the pipeline, I'm sure I'll get requests here and there. So be on the lookout for deck reviews in the coming weeks. And a quick update on my giveaway from my deck collection video. If you remember, the conditions were I wanted to grow my channel from I think I said I was at 50. It turns out I was at like 30, 38, I think, or something like that. Less than 50 for sure. I did get up to 50 subscribers, but the goal was to get me to 75. I know that sounds small. Most of the people you're subscribed to probably have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I'm definitely trying to spend a little bit more time with YouTube to grow my channel. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna extend the giveaway for a little bit longer. But as a sign of good faith, what I am willing to do is give away a single deck of cards to a lucky winner. I don't want to give everything away before I've gotten to my target subscription goal, but what I will do is give away a single deck of playing cards just because I do appreciate, for those of you that did share the video, and I definitely appreciate those of you that do subscribe to me, and I don't want you to not have a chance to win something, especially if you shared the video. That meant a lot to me. So with that being said, if you go to my deck collection video, you'll see there at the end of the video, I talk about which decks I'm going to give away. And I am going to give away one of those decks, so here's what you got to do. Obviously, I need you to like this video. You have to be a subscriber and enable notifications so you can catch the next video. And I just want you to leave a comment below of what you've done to share the channel. So if you've shared it on Facebook, or if you just told a friend about it, anything. If you're talking about the channel, that's all that matters. I will pick a winner next week when I do my next video. And once I pick that winner, I'll contact you and I will give you your choice of any one of those decks out of the grab bag. So anyway, guys, that is the update. That was the review. I thank you all so much for watching. It means the world to me. I will see you guys in the next video. Later.